Today, we're at a tractor and farm machinery consignment auction north of Strawberry Point, Iowa. Great auction, great turnout, a lot of people there. Stuff brought a pretty good price.
January 2026. Iowa's governor stood in front of cameras and did something politicians almost never do. She lost it completely. After watching mass farm equipment auctions flood every county, after seeing family farms that survived a century go under in months, after bankruptcy filings hit levels not seen since the 1980s farm crisis, she finally snapped. And what she said on camera should be a wake-up call for every single American, while Washington does absolutely nothing. The moment she broke, January 17th, 2026. Press conference at the Iowa State Capitol. Governor Kim Reynolds stood at the podium, and you could see it in her face. The exhaustion, the frustration, the anger. I've been governor of Iowa for 8 years. I've dealt with floods, tornadoes, pandemics, but I have never seen anything like what's happening to our farmers right now. And I'm not going to stand here and pretend this is okay anymore. Her voice cracked. Not from emotion, from rage. We have farm auctions happening every single day. Multiple auctions. In counties that haven't seen this level of farm failure since my grandfather was farming, and Washington is doing nothing. Nothing. She slammed her hand on the podium. The camera shook. Iowa political reporters said they'd never seen her like this. The auctions that broke her. Let me show you what the governor was actually seeing. The reality that pushed her past the breaking point. January 2026. More than 60 farm equipment auctions across Iowa since December started. That's not over months. That's in weeks. Some counties seeing multiple auctions every single week. These aren't estate sales. These aren't retirement auctions. These are bankruptcy liquidations. Banks repossessing everything. Tractors, combines, planters, grain bins, land, livestock, everything a family spent generations building. Stutzman Auction Company in Des Moines, January 8th. Complete farm dispersal, 2,400 acres. John Deere 9620R tractor, $380,000. New in 2022, sold for $140,000. A $240,000 loss in 3 years. John Deere S780 combine, $520,000 new in 2021. Auctioned for $185,000, less than half its original value. The bankruptcy tsunami. Here's what the auctions represent. Chapter 12 farm bankruptcies in Iowa jumped 55% in 2024. The first quarter of 2025 alone saw filings approaching the entire 2024 total. A bankruptcy attorney in Des Moines said he's handling more farm cases than at any point in his 30-year career. Farmers are in extreme financial distress at a level higher than I've seen in a long time. These are commercial operations, multi-generational farms, and they have no mathematical path to survival. The governor referenced this directly. I'm hearing from bankruptcy attorneys across the state. 6th-generation farmers are selling land their families have held since the 1800s. That's not just economics. That's the destruction of Iowa's heritage. And she's right, because these aren't struggling farms. These are operations that survived the Great Depression, weathered the 1980s farm crisis, made it through droughts, floods, and every commodity price swing for a century. They cannot survive 2026. The equipment market collapse. Here's why the auctions pushed the governor over the edge. The equipment values being destroyed. A 2020 John Deere 8370R tractor, purchased new for $425,000. Current auction value, $160,000. A $265,000 loss in 5 years. Farmers who financed that tractor at purchase still owe $280,000 to the bank. The tractor sells for $160,000. They're $120,000 underwater after losing the equipment. That's not an isolated case. That's every auction, every piece of equipment, every farmer. The used equipment market is completely flooded with repossessed machinery from bankrupt farms. But the farmers who might buy that equipment don't have money either. Dealers can't move inventory because nobody's financing purchases. Equipment sales numbers confirm the collapse. Tractor sales down 13% year over year. Combined sales crashed 48%, nearly half. When the governor mentioned this, her voice rose. Our farmers can't afford equipment. Our dealers can't sell equipment. Our manufacturers are laying off workers. And the federal government is doing nothing. She was referencing John Deere's mass layoffs. Nearly 1,500 Iowa manufacturing jobs eliminated in 2024. More cuts announced for 2025. Factories shutting down, workers going home, communities dying. The chain reaction is destroying everything. The community devastation. The governor's frustration isn't just about farmers, it's about what happens to Iowa communities when farms fail. Small-town dealerships are dying. John Deere dealers that employed 50 people, now down to 20. Service departments sitting empty because farmers can't afford repairs. Parts inventory worth millions gathering dust. When a dealership employing 50 people in a town of 5,000 closes, that town loses its economic foundation. Mechanics earning $70,000. Parts specialists making $50,000. Salespeople who once earned six figures. They all spend locally, supporting grocery stores, restaurants, schools, every business in rural communities. The multiplier effect means every dealership job lost eliminates 3 additional jobs in surrounding businesses. Reynolds referenced this directly. When farms fail, dealerships close. When dealerships close, Main Street dies. When Main Street dies, the entire community collapses. We're watching it happen in real time across Iowa. She mentioned specific towns, communities that lost their John Deere dealer in 2024. Small towns watching their populations decline as young people leave for cities. Schools closing, hospitals struggling, banks failing. This isn't just an agricultural crisis. This is rural America being systematically destroyed. The political calculation. Here's what makes the governor's outburst significant. Iowa is politically critical. First in the nation caucuses. Presidential candidates spend years courting Iowa farmers. Reynolds essentially called out every politician who campaigned in Iowa. They all came here. They all promised to support agriculture. They all said Iowa farmers matter. Where are they now? She specifically mentioned federal legislators. Iowa has 2 senators, 4 representatives. All of them claim to support agriculture. I want to see emergency farm assistance legislation introduced this week. Not next month, this week. Political observers noted the pressure this creates. Reynolds is popular in Iowa. When she demands action, Iowa's congressional delegation has to respond or face consequences in the next election. But she also created pressure on the presidential level. The current administration talks about supporting American workers. Iowa farmers are American workers. Where's their support? The federal silence. Here's what makes the governor's anger understandable. The federal response has been nothing. No emergency agricultural assistance, no commodity price supports, no intervention in input cost inflation, nothing. The USDA issued a statement acknowledging challenges in the agricultural sector, but offered no specific relief programs. The Federal Reserve raised interest rates 6 times in 2 years, making farm loans more expensive exactly when farmers needed cheaper credit. Congress held hearings, farmers testified, economists presented data, nothing changed, no legislation passed, no emergency funding allocated. The governor referenced this directly. We had farmers testify before Congress about losing their farms, about bankruptcy, about watching equipment get auctioned off. Congress listened, then did nothing. That's not governance. That's abandonment. She's right. And the silence from Washington makes the farm crisis worse every single day. What happens next? More auctions are coming. The math doesn't work. When farmers are losing $293 per acre on corn, even the most efficient operations can't survive. More bankruptcy filings, more equipment liquidations, more families losing farms their ancestors built. More dealerships will close. More manufacturing jobs will be eliminated. More Iowa communities will die. And unless something changes at the federal level, the governor's state-level program won't be enough. Iowa can't solve a national agricultural crisis alone. The final truth. Somewhere tonight, an Iowa farmer is preparing for an auction next week, looking at equipment they spent decades paying off, knowing it'll sell for half its value, knowing they'll still owe the bank, knowing their family farm is ending. Somewhere tonight, a small-town dealer is calculating whether to close permanently, looking at unsold inventory, knowing the bank is calling, knowing there's no path forward. Somewhere tonight, a rural Iowa community is watching another family pack up and leave, another farm auctioned, another generation lost. And in Washington, politicians are ignoring all of it. The governor of Iowa lost it because someone needed to, because the crisis is real, because farms are dying, because families are being destroyed, and because nobody else is saying it out loud. Iowa is bleeding, the auctions prove it, and Washington is letting it happen. Leave a comment below. Do you think the governor's emergency program will make a difference? And hit subscribe because this crisis is accelerating. It's going to get much worse before it gets better.